All right, so we are logged in. Let's just go into it. We're going to log in with our administrator. You need to log in with an account that has sufficient privileges to be able to do what it needs to do. So generally the administrator will have all the rights. So get that logged in that way. You're presented with your standard view right here. Now, in my case, this is a brand new Synology NAS. There's nothing on it at all. So it's going to be very easy because all the disks are available. You may have just added more disks into your array. This particular NAS is a 4-bay NAS, but the process is the same if you've got an 8, a 16, 32. If you've got very large scale NASs as well, the process is really the same. You may add additional trays to it, and then you want to create a new volume or a new storage pool. Exactly the same process. At the very top left-hand corner, we've got our main menu, essentially our start menu on our Synology NAS. And in here, we want to select Storage Manager. Storage Manager is where you configure all of your disks, really, the management of all of your disks. Under here, you've got an overview. Now, at the moment, you'll see that I've got 4 unused drives. They're not used at all. They're not allocated to anything. There is currently no volumes, no storage pools. In your case, you may already have some volumes. You may have some storage pools. And then you've got drives that are in use and potentially a whole bunch which are unused. And you want to allocate these unused ones, okay? Whatever the scenario is. Volumes is a summary of your volumes. If you've got some, I don't have any. Storage pools, your storage pools, I don't have any. And a summary here of my hard drives, my HDDs, and my solid state SSDs. 4 drives, which are currently 3 terabytes each. There's an overview here around hot spares if you want to utilize hot spares, and SSD cache as well. If you're utilizing SSD storage, really that is purposeful for cache and for speeding up read-write access to your NAS. First thing we want to do is go into the volumes section right here and select on Create. Now there's a couple of options here. You've got Quick and Custom. Quick is it's going to use essentially a Synology hybrid RAID volume. Custom, you can go and customize your RAID based on traditional RAID methods. Now we're going to touch on this very, very briefly. Essentially, you've got your traditional RAIDs. You've got your RAID 0, you've got your RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, RAID 10. They all have different pros and cons. Striping them together, mirroring, you've got parity bits, you've got all these sort of different options. Different sorts of setups will require different sorts of RAIDs, and different RAIDs are better than others for different sorts of data, for example. So database data, you want to perhaps use a RAID 10 for everyday data, maybe a RAID 5 or a 6. For operating systems, you may want to use something like a RAID 0. So there's different options, right? We're now going to be focused on a little bit more around Synology's hybrid RAID, SHR RAID, which essentially it's Synology's version of RAID that provides a lot more flexibility. In traditional RAIDs, once you've built your RAID, let's say you've built your RAID 5, you've got your 4 disks in a RAID 5, you've built them, they are now stuck. They're the 4 drives that you need to use as part of your RAID 5. In my case, they're all 3 terabyte drives in a RAID 5. 1, 2, 3 of them really is going to give me 6 terabytes of storage, while 1 worth of data is now spread over parity across those 4 disks. So, and then I'm stuck with that. I'm now stuck with those 4 drives totaling 9 terabytes of storage. So in 2-3 years time, I've now filled up all my storage. I want to buy a 4 terabyte or an 8 terabyte drive because the price has gone down. You can now afford bigger drives. Hooray. You got a problem. You can't put it in. You can't put it in because you can't mix and match the sizes. Once you've built the RAID, you're stuck with it. That's one of the benefits of the Synology RAID, the SHR. You essentially can build your RAID using Synology's RAID technology for 3 terabyte drives. 2 years time, you're like, I need more storage, or one of my drives has failed. I take out one of my 3 terabytes, I put in a 6 terabyte drive. I now have still 9 terabytes of storage. Generally, the larger drive will be used for will be the one that will be essentially the spare, using for parity and things like that. So you're not going to get additional storage yet. Then you lose another drive, or you want to upgrade another drive. You add a second 6 terabyte. Now all of a sudden your RAID has grown, because now you've got 2. It's not going to use the largest one as its main drive for parity. Then you can literally start upgrading your NAS slowly with 6 terabyte drives until eventually all your 4 drives have been upgraded to 6. You haven't lost any data. You haven't had to do anything. You haven't had to migrate all your data off to another location, migrate everything back. It's all done automatically for you. So let's look at the original 3 that we've got. Original 3 terabyte drives. And then our fourth being the 6 terabyte, you just thrown it in, it builds your whole RAID again with that 6 terabytes without losing any data. You take another 3, put another 6 in, it then rebuilds it. Very, very easy. So that's an awesome, awesome technology and saves you a lot of headache down the track. Now we're going to use that on here, the Synology hybrid RAID, because I think it's brilliant. I think it's excellent. I don't know why other vendors aren't using a similar technology. Some are. I know QNAP and a few others are looking at something similar, or they have a different name, but it's brilliant. Traditional RAIDs are great too, if you're confident that that's what you want to use forever. If you want to have flexibility, go with the Synology hybrid RAID. Okay, bit of a spiel, but let's continue. So we're going to select quick. We're going to now give it a name. So what do we want to call the storage pool? I'm going to call it Aguero pool. RAID type, okay, SHR, SHR2. Essentially, SHR is 1 disk, SHR2 is 2 disks. Next, what drives do we want to be part of it? Now, you don't have to add all of your drives. If you've got more than, in my case, I've got 4 drives because that's all the capacity on my NAS. I'm going to be building one volume, one storage pool with all of my drives. You can do that. If you have multiple, and you may have 8 drives listed, you only select the ones that you want as part of this new Synology hybrid RAID configuration. I'm going to select all 4 and say next. All data will be erased. Yay! All data is going to be gone. Don't click OK if you've got data on there that you can't lose. Okay, make sure that all your data is gone before you do. All your data is backed up or migrated or whatever before you go and do that. Okay, what sort of file system do you want to use? So think about NTFS, think about FAT32. These are file systems for your Synology NAS products. First one lets you take advantage of things like snapshots, replication, shared folder quotas, things like that. ext4 used very heavily in the Linux operating space. We're going to stick with the first option because I like being able to do snapshots and replicate my data and do other things that are really cool. Bit of a summary of what's going on here. And if you're happy with everything here, you can click on apply, giving you a little indication that my total capacity will be 8.17 terabytes. Apply. So that volume is now being created. It will take a little bit of time. You have to consider that there's now a lot of stuff that needs to be configured on the back end of all of your disks to make sure that they're configured and they're all available in this one unit. So that will take a bit of time. At the same time, under storage pool, you'll see that that is now being configured at the same time. So really by creating my volume, I've created my storage pool as well. Parity consistency check is currently running on storage pool 1 and may affect overall system performance. So now the volume is ready. It's created. You can really go and start to use it right now. You can go and create your shares and your files and your folders and go navigate to that particular volume, but it will be at a reduced capacity. So just considering that, this is all now ready to go. Okay, I've got a volume 1. That's it from that perspective. Now, really your next step is now you can start creating stuff within this particular volume. So if you go back into control panel, go into shared folder, I can now create a new shared folder, call it data. This is all my data. Volume, there it is. That's the volume that we just created. So that wouldn't be there if the volume didn't exist. Do we want to enable recycle bin? I don't want to use that. Next, you can do things like encryption on that drive. You can do the quotas. We're going to leave all that default and we're going to say apply. Who do we want to get access to it? So when you connect to this particular share from your network, say from a Windows, from a Mac, from a VMware environment, whatever it may be, what are the credentials that you need to input to be able to connect to this particular shared folder? I'm going to connect with my admin. It needs to be read-write because I want to be able to write to it, not just read to it. Say OK, and that is now created. So if I go into File Station, which is my Windows Explorer equivalent, you'll see that right here under my root called Aguero Synology, there is a data shared folder right there. And I can go and create folders within there. I can upload documents and then you can fully navigate to it by navigating / the IP address or the host name, the fully qualified name, whatever it may be on your Mac. You go to a different area in your Finder to go and navigate to your NAS. So that's really the steps. So, I mean, we can sort of see how this thing's going on. It's still building, I think. Yep, still doing its thing. So this will take a bit of time, but that's it. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.